Hello guys, in this video I'm going to teach you how you can stop masturbating and especially how you can stop watching porn for good. So first thing that you have to understand is that you're not addicted to masturbation whatsoever. What you are addicted to is porn. Whenever you have the urge to masturbate or wank one off or whatever you want to call it, this is not an urge that you have per se, but it's an urge that you have because of the porn. What does that mean for us? Well, it means that when you stop watching porn, you also stop masturbating. So whether or not you believe that porn is your problem or masturbation is your problem, it all starts with porn. When you're addicted to porn, it's impossible to stop masturbating. How do we do this? How do we stop watching porn for good? We start by masturbating every time we have the urge to do so, but just not to porn. Okay? So for example, you have the urge to masturbate. Then you do that, but you do not watch porn. You do not watch some cam girl live stream. You do not watch pictures. You do not watch or read any smut stories. You do not do that. The only thing that you do is you wank one off, you masturbate, but you do not use any material to help you with that. And what you will realize really quickly is that masturbation alone is actually very boring. It's actually not that enjoyable when there is no fantasy involved, okay? When there's nothing involved that stimulates your brain. Sex and masturbation and all that kind of stuff is very mental. It's a very mental thing. And when you get rid of the stimulus, as in porn, whatever, books, whatever you do, then it's not enjoyable. And that is why I'm saying when you stop with porn, then you also stop masturbating. Start masturbating, but without porn. Because that way you get rid of the urge, but also you disconnect your brain from this conditioning. You are right now, if you're porn addicted, you are conditioned to watch other people have sex. And that is your sexual gratification. So how do we make it a lot easier as well? Well, we make it hard to watch porn. For example, let's say you watch porn on your computer every day. Then you simply unplug your computer. I know you probably need it to work, but maybe if you don't, let's say you have a laptop, a tablet, whatever you do. Let's say there's a device that you only use to watch porn. Get rid of that device. You don't need to sell it, but turn it off, unplug it, make it really hard. For example, when I wanted to quit watching a lot of YouTube videos on my computer, because that is the only thing that I use my computer for, I unplugged everything. I unplugged the whole thing, all the mouse, all the cables, the keyboard, everything. And I took the power cable and put it into another room in a cupboard so that it is very hard for me to go and grab the power cable and then plug everything in and then start the PC and so on. It creates a lot of friction, and that is what you need to do. Make it hard. Another thing that you can do is block these sites. I know you can unblock the sites, but again, we want to make it as hard as possible. We want to add as much friction as possible. Because when you're in a state where you're like, oh, I kind of want to wank one off right now and I kind of want to watch porn, but you have to do three minutes worth of things in order to do so, then you're probably not going to do it. And that is exactly where we want to be. We want to make it hard. Another thing that you can do is do other stuff. Go out into nature, go to a park, go and buy yourself something, go to whatever. Just do something. Maybe like try to be as little in your home, in your room, in your house, whatever, as possible. Because then you don't even have these thoughts. Another thing that is often causing masturbation, but also especially porn, because like I said, these two are very linked, is that you have a lot of stress. So when you're very stressed, then masturbating is a cope to help you with that stress. How you basically mitigate stress or how you get rid of stress is you eat more raw animal fat, because that is usually the cause of stress. People are usually not actually stressed because of whatever environmental factors they are, but they usually stressed because within they're unhealthy And that is usually because they miss a lot of raw animal fat. So things like raw butter, beef fat in general, fat from raw meat, all that kind of stuff, like very high quantities of animal fat are needed. Also, friends. You will notice probably when you're around your friends, you never have the urge to masturbate. Of course, it would be very inappropriate to do so, but when you're happy around your friends in a social situation, you will never have the urge to masturbate because you're fulfilled on the inside, okay? And like I said, this masturbation and porn and all that stuff that comes from not being fulfilled, from being stressed all the time. So spend as much time with your friends as you can. Another thing that is very important is that you avoid, basically, I know it's very hard in today's world because what else is there to do, but avoid TV shows and avoid watching movies and maybe even avoid YouTube and all social media. You should probably do that anyways, but especially TV shows and movies are very, very sexualized, okay? All of them are. It doesn't matter, even if it's like a TV show for 12-year-olds, you will always have something. And even if it's just a word that is being used, right? I'm not going to give you any examples because I don't want you to have any problems. But there can be words that are triggers for your porn addiction. Or you will see certain actresses that you find attractive. All that kind of stuff will cause problems because all of that stuff is basically, they're all triggers basically. So what you do instead is you go into nature. Maybe you have a bicycle that you haven't used in a while. Go and explore the area around you. Explore your city, explore another city next to you. Go and drive to another city that you've never been to. Go and do something that you've never done. Because that way it's always gonna be interesting, but you're not sitting at home all the time watching some movies or something. This is general life advice, okay? Go do something that you've not done. Another thing that you have to understand is that you do not need to be ashamed. You do not need to feel guilty about you masturbating or you watching porn, okay? I've been very harsh on masturbating in the past, but I want you to understand this. Masturbating in today's world is a needed cope for many people. Because naturally you should be having sex every single day, maybe even multiple times a day. But when you do not have a partner, then you need to cope in some way. And masturbating is that way. Okay, so I'm not per se against masturbation because it's a very good cope when you are alone. I'm just against masturbating with porn. Okay, that needs to be understood. Yeah, you do not need to feel at all shameful, especially when it comes to porn. And I'm gonna say something very important now. Porn makes your preference. You do not choose it yourself. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, porn sites will recommend videos to you and push you into certain fetishes and so on. Like you will notice that probably when you started watching porn, when you were probably very young, you didn't have any of the fetishes or sexual abnormalities that you may have now. It's very natural that humans always want more. We always want crazier things because that way, yeah, it just makes it a lot more interesting and so on. And the porn sites basically they know that, and that is why they push increasingly harder and weirder stuff to you. It is commonly known that transgender porn, for example, is shown to straight men. This is basically conditioning, okay? So you may not like it in the beginning because you know it's weird, it's disgusting, but at a certain point where nothing else stimulates you anymore, you will go for that. Or you will, I don't know, whatever. Like there will always be something crazier. The pornography sites, those make your preference that is not your natural preference. And you will notice that when you stop watching porn, then these preferences, so-called preferences, this conditioning that you got will go away. And you will not have any of these urges. The next thing is that you should not masturbate to anything but the current moment. So what do I mean by that? Like I said in the beginning, I said that you should not watch porn, no images, no, movies, nothing like that. The only thing that you should masturbate to is the current moment. Do not even go in and think about porn or anything like that When you masturbate, only think about the current moment, because that is the only moment that is real and the only thing that is real. Like I said, fantasy is just a fantasy, that's not real. You also have to become aware of your thoughts, because your mind will trick you. Your mind will be saying things like, excessive masturbation is normal, right? I need to do this right now because otherwise I'm gonna explode. Maybe you will have, for example, a period where you do not get hard in the morning or anything like that. That is sometimes the case. It's called, I think, the zero zone or something like that, where you basically don't have any sexuality going down there, simply because you're so addicted to porn, and now you don't get porn, and now the stimulus is gone, and now everything is kind of weird. But this period will go away. But your mind is very smart. Your mind is happy with the addiction. Okay, you have to understand this. Your mind wants you to be addicted because it found something that makes it happy. Okay, your mind found something that makes it happy. So what you want to do, or what you need to understand, is you need to see your own thoughts. You need to understand, okay, this thought is the addiction talking, and this thought, for example, is not the addiction talking. And you will see very often that who is talking to you is not you yourself, but rather the addiction. I mean, it technically is still yourself, of course, talking to yourself. But your mind is, again, very good at tricking you, and it wants you to consume porn. Because, the addiction is very comfortable for the mind. Just so you know. What you need to do, or how you do that, basically, is that you need to meditate, or that you should meditate, I guess, and that you should be mindful. Meditation basically is there to make you aware of your own thoughts, okay, and how you basically drift off into certain directions. That's the only thing that meditation is really good for. And next thing is mindfulness. For example, be more mindful of what you're actually doing. For example, I'm mindful. I'm talking to the camera right now. I got lights pointing in my eyes. My bare feet are touching the ground, right? I can hear my own voice echoing in this room. Like, this is mindfulness. Try to be in the moment all the time. For example, when you're going to eat some meat and you're cutting up the meat, then think about how you're cutting the meat. Okay? Feel it. All right, your knife slices through the meat, right? You take the meat and you put it into a jar or something like that. Like, actually consciously do everything, because that way you will always feel when your mind drifts off into another direction. Okay, we often are so in our head, right? For example, let's say you drive a car. You will probably notice this, that you drive a car, and suddenly you're like, oh my God, I'm driving a car currently, because you were in your mind all the time. Okay, so you have to kind of separate yourself from that. You have to be in the moment more and understand when, again, the addiction is talking to you and when it's not. Another good story to tell yourself is that you're not addicted. And this will now completely go against all advice that you usually hear. When people talk about being addicted or having a problem, then they usually say, okay, the first thing is acceptance. I need to accept that I'm addicted. But here's the problem with that. When you say, hey, I'm addicted to pornography, that creates your self-image. But if I'm saying I'm not addicted to pornography, then that is not part of my self-image. And your self-image highly influences how you act. If I'm feeling down and I don't want to do anything, but I think of myself as a porn addict, I'm going to do what a porn addict does, which is to watch porn. If I am feeling down and I don't know what to do, but I don't feel myself, or I don't think of myself as a porn addict, then I'm not going to do what a porn addict does. I hope that's understandable. So tell yourself that you're not a porn addict, because you're not. Thanks for watching.